And that giant cacophony tells you you're back with the Power of Three podcast. And it's an exciting week because it's time for another Doctor Who action figure being dropped, or made available for sale, as we used to say in the old days.
Being dropped? Well, you better pick it up then.
Oh, damn it. Oh, right, there we go. I'm Kenny Smith, and I'm joined by two of my regular co-conspirators as we're going to be finding out more about the recent releases from character options, including Tegan Jovanka. We're going to hear about the Cybermen from Dark Water, and of course, the latest 15th Doctor action figure.
Yeah.
At my elbow, it's Suitor Johnny, also known as David Steele.
Hello, welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
And the man who knows all about the plastic fantastic, our very own Nestene Intelligence, it's Al Dewar, the Plastic King.
I never know how to take your intros, Kenny. That was quite a good one, actually. The plastic king, the Nestene
Yes.
Consciousness. That's
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose it is sort of you in a kind of...
If in a roundabout way you're trying to say my contribution to landfill over the years has been significant, I think you're probably right.
And polluting the planet, so hey.
What a fine legacy.
Yes.
Lots of joy and fun for saddos along the way, myself included.
Yeah, but it's in the landfill alongside all the missing episodes as well, just side by side.
That's right.
They'll probably bury me in landfill or sort of scatter my ashes over the nearest dump recycling facility.
Well, it depends who's responsible for the ashes, Al. It depends if it's somebody who likes you or not. Mr. Marmite.
Oh, I thought you were going all Scottish there, because it's Parks and Recreation, isn't it? Under Scottish law, it doesn't fall under the church; it falls under your local council.
Yes,
Parks and Recreation.
that is very true. Yes, you do have to consult. I said we scattered my mum and dad's ashes at Cambuslang Rugby Club and got the club's permission to do it. So
that's good.
That was nice, because my dad was secretary there for a long time. So
I have a hankering to be thrown up Schiehallion, but I can't see any of my lot by the time I get there wanting to climb up Schiehallion to scatter my ashes.
I don't want to be thrown up.
I'll probably just get chucked in a bin at the bottom of the hill, just quietly put in. You know, at the picnic spots where there's the black bin bags that are always overflowing. Oh, that's probably my legacy. Fitting way.
Listeners, where do you want your ashes to be scattered when you shuffle off this mortal coil? Right into the Earth2podcast at gmail.com, and Peter will forward them on to us and we'll read them out the next time Al joins us.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping I'll be stuck in a nice jar that my sister has to keep on her mantelpiece forever.
Thanks, David. We brought an element of sensibility to this.
Yeah. So, Al, talking of sensibility, let's return to the world of your work.
Yeah, go on.
Which is kind of sensible. Let's go back to Tegan Jovanka, because of course last year you hinted that this was your favourite figure of the lot, and from last year's wave, and my goodness, it is a little bit of a cracker.
It is a bit of a cracker, and so funnily enough, it's one of those ones that I don't look as so. Well, yes, it was last year's wave. It was a 2025. The final one for 2025 that ended up coming out in 2026. Weirdly, yeah, I really liked that figure. It was a strange development. I think it's been documented elsewhere, but to just sort of presse it, that's not the right word, but to condense it. It was on the cards, then it was off the cards, and it was on the cards. It was going to start as Leela, with Leela's body with a couple of new bits grafted on. When I went back and looked at Leela's body, there was no way that was going to work. The tech and the look of the Leela figure at that time, the one in the doeskin outfit, wasn't really going to be good enough. So then I think I jumped to possibly using Clara, because that was she had the TPR dress and she was slight enough that I thought, well, I can maybe get away with this. And again, it kind of ended up being, I've got to change more than I could imagine. You're almost into building a new figure. And then it became Ruby, trying to reuse Ruby. And then eventually it just became, we're essentially building a new figure from scratch. And then at the same time, parallel as that, I had Tegan sculpted before, and she was one of the ones in my sculpt bank at the time. So I had things like the Cybermen. We know what happened there, or we can go on to discuss that. But so we had the Cyberman. We had a couple of other figures that were in the sculpt bank. But when I've never. It's weird. It was one of those ones that came in. I looked at it and went, yeah, that's okay. And I parked it, and because it wasn't going ahead, I never went back to it. When I did go back to it, I went, I really don't like that. It didn't float my boat. So long story short, it had been submitted to the BBC. I then went back to the BBC and said, I would like to change the head. And they said, well, it's been approved. And I said, I know, but I don't like it. I want to change it. So it was a new head made for it. And then what happened, as I say, this was all happening in parallel, but essentially the Frankenstein monster that was going to be Tegan eventually became a brand new figure. So she started off with a brand new head, then it was brand new chest, then it was new arms, then it was new legs, and then before it was finished, it was all new.
It's the Tegan action figures, the sugar babes of action figures.
Yeah, and
the ship of Theseus or something, or not. Trigger's broom of action figures.
Well, she's not. She would have been. I think that's the thing. She would have been Trigger's broom. She Trigger's broom in terms of development, yes.
Yes.
Everything was replaced and then some.
Yeah. So what made you choose this outfit, Al, rather than, for example, the air hostess uniform?
I just always liked it. I know people think and it's privilege of rank. I get to choose the figure at the end of the day, as long as the BBC give it their blessing. I didn't know at the time that it was Janet's favorite outfit and favorite story, I think. So, but I think it's a JNT reactionary thing. I don't like costumes. I really don't like either the Doctor in a costume or the companions in a costume. You've got Adric, who never changes his clothes. You've got the Doctor in season 18, who does change a couple of bits, but is essentially the same. You got Tegan running around in the same sort of air hostess outfit. I just don't like his thing of just putting doctors in costumes. I think that's what it is. I'm not saying that is what it is. But anyway, I preferred the resurrection of the Daleks outfit. I think she looked really hot in it, and I really liked it. And I thought, well, if I'm gonna do a Tegan figure, then she's gonna look as good as I can possibly make her, and I thought that was the one to do. And like I say, I had no idea that happened to be the outfit that Janet particularly liked.
And of course, it comes with some fantastic accessories as well. This one, of course, we've got the Movellen virus case, and of course, the Dalek Trooper gun.
Yeah, Dalek Trooper gun. It's slightly oversized, but it's a bit like the Movellen gun. It kind of had to be to fit over the hand of Tegan, but more especially who I knew it was going to end up with being used, which is the Fifth Doctor, with Davros. So it had to be kind of jigged around. So you have to kind of excuse that. The Movellen virus canister. Movellen virus canister was originally a little bit more complex. It had two of the smaller canisters with it and a little sort of open hatch on the side. But actually, I thought, well, it's a bit fat of a faff. And actually, the canister on its own with the little green lines, which some people say isn't there, but actually, if you look, it is. So that's all I'm saying about that. So I thought the blue Movellen canister was more fitting.
Yeah, I also noticed when I picked it up and looked at it up close, how much it looks like a Dalek gun.
Which, the canister?
The Movellen canister, yeah, it's bizarre. You look at it.
Yeah.
And it looks like a Dalek gun. I've just got mine here as I hold it up to the camera for the benefit of our YouTube viewers.
it does, and there's a few things like that. It's weird. The 14th Doctor Sonic has elements of that as well. The 60th anniversary David Tennant Sonic. When you look at it, it looks. And when I spoke to the prop guy that designed it, he said that was deliberate. It's definitely in there. But yeah, I agree. It's got
Interesting. That's a good fact. It's a good fact. Write that down, everyone. Write that down in your jotter.
questions at the end.
No, that's fascinating. Genuinely. Especially given how, like, he had that short Dalek thing on Children in Need. So I wonder if that maybe, okay, interesting.
Yeah, no, it was deliberately built to kind of resemble a couple of things, which is an interesting take because the Sonic, if you follow the philosophy about the Doctor never using guns, I know he has used guns, but his general philosophy is I don't use guns. So it was a slightly odd direction to take, but it may, I think, hark back slightly to the Capaldi Inside the Dalek episode, where the implication is that the Doctor, when he needs to be, can be as cold, logical, and ruthless as a Dalek.
And talking of Daleks, of course, it comes with a destroyed Dalek with lovely green lumpy bits, and
It does. That's up there with Cassandra. It's another corpse. We've done another lovely action figure of a corpse.
Al, were you a goth in the 90s?
No.
Did you read The Sandman when it was
No,
first published?
but I watched from a very early age. I was watching Hammer horror films and the old black and white. So I'm very much, and I'm a big believer in the supernatural. Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So we've got the destroyed Dalek, which of course is based on the Remembrance Dalek.
Well, sorry, if by that you mean the basis of it was the Remembrance Dalek, you're right. We actually had the hexagonal, what was the oval, but on the Remembrance Dalek it was the hexagonal. We had that ground off the tool or welded up in the tooling and changed permanently. So the other one is never coming back, sadly. I felt, given the opportunity, there was more potential for a reuse of an annihilated classic Dalek in whatever livery we chose to do it
Interesting.
than there was in just a plain Imperial Dalek.
Power of the Daleks. I'm sure there's one.
Daleks.
Yeah, that's it. Evil of the Daleks, I suppose, as well. Yeah, that's a good shout. Destiny.
No, I do freely admit that it doesn't in that story, Resurrection, the Daleks actually, most of their neck bin, although it explodes, is intact, and the Dalek actually sits a little bit higher. So there's a little bit of creative license, but I didn't have the budget to do that, but I did have the budget to do a dead Dalek, and I thought I can do a very different dead Dalek, and it could look pretty cool. And it felt like the pack was a bit empty if we'd just done it as Tegan on her own. She would have been a bit of an odd one out versus things like the Master with his TARDIS and the Mavellans together and the Fugitive and the TARDIS and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So all in all, Al, how happy are you to say it? I think it's glorious.
Very generally very happy. I think the head sculpt is actually fantastic, and the actual tooling of the head is fantastic. I feel I would have liked to have had a little bit longer on the face deco just to play around with it. I think that's it. I think if you're never fully happy. I think when you make stuff with, well, that's not true. Sometimes you are. Liz Shaw, for instance, who is coming up, I think is one of the finest figures we have ever done. And I say that genuinely, hand on the desk. I set out to make that figure of Liz Shaw because I thought she was a fabulous companion and she was a beautiful woman. And I set out to make that figure absolutely fantastic. And yeah, wait till you get a load of that.
I know, wait. Of course, it means we've actually got a fourth Doctor and Romana, the second Romana, which gives us a then husband and wife pairing. We can now have the Decayed Master and Liz Shaw together to have Jeffrey Beavers and Caroline John. So it's It is. It's a
romantic.
rare romantic partnership. So Al, thank you from all the romantic people out there in the world for making it happen.
Yes, listeners, if you're getting married soon and you decide to have the Carrie figure and Jeffrey figure on top of your cake, please take a photograph of it and send it to the r2podcast@gmail.com and we'll stick it on the Facebook
And
page.
of
That'd be
course,
lovely.
nobody likes a decayed beaver, but you know, it's
Yeah.
it's one of those things in life. Occasionally, face to face with Jeffrey Beavers can't be beat. Actually, I say that Jeffrey Beavers can't be beaten as a master until you throw Derek Jacobi into the mix, and then it all changes.
Or do you like a battered old Pratt?
That takes some doing.
I have to say, there's been a few times on E2 when I've had to voice a character called the Mist, and I've done my best impression of Jeffrey Beaver's master. He just drips with evil. Big Finish have done some amazing
I
stuff
had
with
no
him.
idea he was
He's
married
just
to Caroline John
phenomenal.
until relatively recently. It's
Wow.
just those weird things that I
Their
wasn't.
daughter Daisy Ashford is just lovely. She was one of my good drinking buddies on my night out in LA when I went there for Gallifrey. Don't like to talk about it, but it was a great
I
night
met
out.
Daisy. Well, I didn't meet Daisy, but Daisy was on the panel in front of me at the BFI. And that's partly, and she talks so passionately about her mom, and she's obviously played Liz Shaw in the Big Finish. And genuinely,
Yeah.
it's part of the reason I wanted to make sure that the Liz figure was really good. I kind of feel like Liz, she didn't get a bum steer or a bad, it was just, it feels like she was there one minute and gone the next. And I really like the Liz character. In fact, more so, personally, more so than the Joe character, who was obviously there more for exposition and what's happening next, Doctor, and where are we going? Whereas I think Liz had a bit more chutzpah about her.
Oh yeah. Especially, you compare to when you watch them through, compared to like the Babes in the Wood aspects of Victoria and
Yeah.
Jamie or Jamie and Zoe. Suddenly the Doctor is accompanied by an intelligent, capable
Yeah, I
adult
mean,
probably for the first time since the
yeah.
Hartnell era, really.
Yeah, Liz jumps in Bessie and drives along. She jumps out of Bessie and basically runs along a weir and falls off. It's just one of the most amazing set action pieces that series
Wearing a fantastic hat.
wearing a
Yes.
fantastic hat. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So let's move on.
Must we?
Talk about Cybermen now. Of course, I was one of the lucky people who got my hand on these a couple of months early, completely by chance at the
You're a
BFI
complete
screening.
jammy bastard, if
Doctor
you don't
Who.
mind me saying. I didn't even know that was you that had done that. All I heard was Bruce, and then I thought, who's that? And then you came up afterwards and you're like, oh, look what I've got, and I was like, they're gonna think it's a fix.
Completely, well, as anybody who was there will tell, I shouted out first. I shouted for Dick, and I got Dick, and then I got my prize when I answered the question correctly. So,
Oh dear.
Very nicely played.
and
So,
Dick Fiddy was a lovely man.
I like both of them. They both put a lot of effort into the BFI, Dick and Justin and the team that work behind the scenes. I don't think people realize that there is a team that work behind the scenes, and I've sort of been privy to it recently and gone into the green room because obviously supplied prizes, but I don't think people realize the amount of work that goes into those events. And then they do a kind of solid, and they're one of the events. Justin literally did the whole morning and early part of the afternoon on Doctor Who, and then he was basically going straight on to do something else. It's
That's brilliant. So, Al, what made you go for the Dark Water Cybermen rather than, say, the Wheel in Space?
Oh, well, several Cybermen were on the list at one point. I think it was primarily that's a good question. What made me go for it? I think I felt that we were slightly falling behind with the modern Cybermen in that we hadn't had anything beyond the Cybus and then the Mondasian non-Cybus Cybermen. for a long time, and we'd now had two iterations of Cybermen, and I just felt slightly like I could happily go back to do the Wheel in Space. And also, it was a Capaldi Cyberman and a Matt Smith Cyberman, and two of my favorite sort of eras. And I'd rewatched those episodes quite a lot, and I actually thought I'm not a massive fan of Nightmare in Silver. I will be honest. I just don't think that story hangs together particularly. It's funny. I was
It's,
reading a synopsis.
it's appalling. I think it's my, for a while, it was my least favorite modern
It's
episode
not.
Until you watched Last Christmas.
until, yes, and then quite a few others after
I would
that.
disagree with the appalling thing. It's funny having because I've been writing this document for the guys at work or helping write this document about the history of the Cybermen, and it's quite convoluted as a story. And I think most of it sort of hangs together, but there's a couple of big leaps of logic that you have to kind of take in order to kind of understand why the story's going where it was going. And also, it was the story where every season there was one story where they had to kind of reuse the sets.
Sure.
So there was a real odd mismatch of not being able to realize a clapped out intergalactic theme park particularly well, with some very odd location work in a castle and a heck of a lot of reuse of very recognizable interior sets kind of dressed up, and then this lovely new Cyberman that they'd created. But one of the reasons, and one of the reasons that because you were very specific in your question, why did you go Dark Waters? I went Dark Waters because I like that Cyberman better, and only in so much as they are slightly different. The Cybermen in Nightmare in Silver are slightly brighter. Some people agree, some people don't. I don't really care. I think they are. When you look at the photography of them, that sort of tonally flat, bright silver just kind of flattens everything out. Whereas you get Dark Water and Death in Heaven and the slightly darker armor and the darker undersuits and the weapon. I think the weapon on the arm. No, they did have the weapon on. I just think it worked better, and it looks quite cool. But it's still, yeah, it's still Iron Man from my perspective. It's still, the Cybermen are.
Yeah.
And again, doing this document on the Cybermen, I know it's true. The Cybermen are literally robots with a Wetworks brain component stuffed in the top of it, and
Yeah.
they've never really moved away from that. So even the Nightmare and Silver Cybermen, they try and imply that the nanites are transforming some of the humans into the human bits of the body, because you see it happening to the Doctor, into cybernetic components. Not quite sure the science on that stands up, to be honest, but it is what it is. It's not a terrible story.
So, Al, the incredible detail on this, and just looking at like the fact you've got this like the ribbed skeleton up the back, everything like that. It's so much detail in this. So, was this based on your old scans that you'd done years back that you told us about in the
No,
past?
what happened with these was quite different. We dug out the 3 3/4 inch data, which I did a bit of research on, and it turned out that had been done by Gentle Giant in the US. The Gentle Giant did a few of the sculpts for me back in the day, and they were very good at certain things and not very good at other things. But we got some very good sculpts um, from them. However, the Cyberman data was dog rough, to say the least. The sculpting was not particularly good. What happened was Andrew Teal, who uh, is a sculptor at Design Works and also does his own freelance stuff, he he's done a bunch of stuff for me this year. I sent the CAD to him and sort of said, "Oh, I think the thighs are a bit odd. You might want to have a look at these. What do you think?" And he sort of came back and sort of, Andrew is um, fantastically honest. And if you ask him, what do you think? You will get a very thorough answer. so he basically came back and said, well, he could, in typical Andrew fashion, he kind of said, well, why are you picking on the thighs? Because every single bit of this is off. Um, and I said, "Oh, really?" Innocently, knowing full well, because I'd done a side by side with imagery and I knew what he was going to say. And he literally took it apart. He was like, look, the thighs don't match up. The forearms aren't right. The head's the wrong shape. The chest isn't right. Because I was kind of like, well, if we redo this, what part of it can we anchor the whole thing on to make it right? And he said, you can't. There's nothing in this figure that actually lines up with the reference material at all.
Oh, wow.
It's that far off, and it's really not good. But he had done a scan of, say the DesignWorks guys had done a scan of a shad, and at the same time as they'd done a scan of the dregs and a couple of the other bits and pieces down in Cardiff. And he said, the one bit that we have going for us is that Ashad has basically the right chest unit and one, I think it was shoulder pauldron. And he said basically from that correct one piece of scan data, I can pretty much extrapolate an entire new figure because once you've got one thing that works, everything else will fall
Yeah.
into place. So I didn't want to have to make a new figure, and it kind of screwed my budget. But I basically said, "Yeah, fine, go ahead and do it," because there's no point in doing a new Cyberman and getting it wrong. So he did a grounds up rework of the Cybermen, and it is bloody brilliant. And then in combination with my genius decision to articulate it, no, I'm joking. In combination with the way it's articulated, which is done in conjunction with my engineer, Joanne, who's been working on these, and the various ways that we wanted the joints to articulate, it was then engineered. And then what we did last year, or this year rather, which was different from normal, is Andrew does the sculpt. I send it to get engineered. It then gets engineered, and then it goes back to Andrew so that he can double check and basically go, well, this is horribly wrong, or this is okay, or this is bad, or this is right. So on every figure, it actually kind of got double checked by Andrew, and that really added something to the process. We've never really done that before, but Andrew could take his original sculpt and the engineered sculpt, and he's a very realistic guy. He kind of understands that articulation is a kind of process of give and take. So he had to give something away as well as, you have to give something away to gain something. But yeah, that sort of double check worked. And it led to a fantastic figure. And then when I got the tooling model turned up on my desk, I was like, oh my God, this is good. And then when the first shots turned up on my desk, I was like, oh my God, this is really good. And I literally had the first shot posed in running mode on one balancing on one foot on my desk. And I was like, this is insanely good. This is just absolutely sensational.
It's stunning. I mean, I'd say this is up there as one of your very best, along with the Earthshock Cybermen. I mean, I think that you know the the detail on it, the articulation's incredible. The fact you've got the 360 spin from the chest unit upwards,
It's
just
good. We
incredible.
used the Revenge Cybermen and Tom Baker, obviously, as the benchmark for the height. So
Yeah,
we had various 3D prints that were done at the office from the original engineering CAD, and I would just upscale it and kind of go, yeah, that's the size I want them. And I did that on every single figure. So we did that on Liz, we did it on the Cybermen, we've done it on the Wirren, we've done it on. So there's a lot of 3D prints kicking around in the box.
and of course interchangeable arm as well, so you can have gun arm and normal arm.
Yeah, well, it was one. That was the one bit I didn't think I could get away with, and I thought, well, do we have something that clips on? And then I thought, well, that's a bit rubbish to have a clip-on arm. It really has to be a complete replacement arm. You just want because it kind of folds out of the forearm, so you needed it. So I just said, like, let's just do another arm with a gun. and a fist.
Yep.
But apparently the hands are interchangeable, not something that I had factored in. But you can change the hand and swap it out for the one that's in the gun arm.
I haven't done that. Well, there we go.
And
And of
vice
course,
versa.
yes. And these sold pretty quickly, didn't they, Al?
Yes, they were sold out within a week. So
All gone.
yeah, all gone. They launched on the Monday, and I was literally having a live conversation with the people in customer services on the Friday, and I was on the Gallifrey base telling people how many were left, and it literally went 350, 300, 250, I think 110, 60. I got a phone call from the marketing director saying, I think we've got 60 sets left. It's all done really well. And then it was gone. And then I phoned up a week later and said, we usually carry spares of sets. Can I get a box of spares? Because I've got none left. I haven't got any for myself. And they literally said, we ain't got a scrap. We got nothing left in the building at all.
Wow.
Wow. I'd imagine that Tegan sold pretty well as well.
Yes. I think we've got a couple of Tegans left, but I think the Tegans that are left are those ones that we've reduced the amount we keep because we don't have as many returns now, but because obviously the quality is fabulous. But I think we used to keep about 200, and then it kind of dropped to, I think with the Cybermen we kept 50. Tegan, I think we've got I can't remember if Tegan's sold out or not. I think if it isn't, we've only got something like 100 or so left. It's low numbers. It's not
And
big.
then, of course, as we speak, the next release has come out this week. You're able to pre-order, get your 15th Doctor here, along with Mr. Ring-a-Ding and
Yes,
everybody's favourite intergalactic song contest singer, Mr. Dugga.
love a bit of Dugga do. Yeah, it's a very different set. 15th Doctor, like him or not, this is undoubtedly the best version of him. It's got revised tooling on the hips. It's got the check trousers which look absolutely stunning. The factory took about 3 months to get the checks on the trousers sorted out. The expression on the Doctor, I think, because of the paint ops, is just tiny bit sterner and less smiley. It's just a very good. I love it. If there's an epitome of a 15th Doctor version with his Joy to the World sonic screwdriver and bright yellow shirt, that's the one. So yeah, that one's fabulous. And then we got Ring-a-Ding, the first ever bendy figure in a Doctor Who set, which I had him pinned originally to possibly be a flat cutout, and then it wasn't even my idea. Kudos to the very early came up, I think, from Ross at the BBC, was the first person who suggested it to me and said, "Can he be a bendy figure?" And I kind of poo-pooed it and said, no, I think that wouldn't really work because but then, you do a bit of research and you think, yeah, why not? So we went down that road. He is bigger than he should be in real life. In reality, Mr. Ring-a-Ding is about 2.5 feet high. He's a little Yoda-esque character, but we couldn't go that small with him. So we had to
It was about 4 feet high, I'd imagine, going by
get
the.
him slightly longer. So in reality, he would be up to the top of his waistcoat, really, as the figure. He's that small. But yeah, the bendy figure and the second head and it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but it kind of works. The fun kind of silly cartoon figure brought to life. Two of my favorite stories. If I'm honest, my only two favorite stories from that last season, but Lux was one, and the pit, the
Well, yeah.
was the was the other one. I really liked those stories, but I really liked Lux. I thought Lux was amazing. I thought the Doctor in his outfit just looked fabulous. Belinda in that yellow dress just looked jaw-dropping. Joy to the World I went back and watched again recently, and that's another one that I would put up in the top three because it's one that just whips along. And it's a very classic New Who episode when you kind of filter it down. It's a very, I'm not necessarily sure it's a very Christmassy episode, but it's a very New Who episode. You know, there's a star in a suitcase being carried around a hotel. Somebody wants it for good, somebody wants it for bad. The Doctor has to kind of, I like the fact that he had to kind of go the long way round in that story to kind of, he had to kind of sacrifice some of his timeline in order to kind of achieve what he wanted to achieve. So there's a lot of good stuff in that. But yeah, that outfit for the 15th Doctor, spanky. And what can I say about Dugga? Nothing. That's the insanity levels that we reached. It was do you do the attenuator that looks like a sort of slightly weird guitar stand, or do you pin your colors to the mast and do a third character? And I just thought, actually,
Nobody loves
turns
Dugga.
out is one of those characters that people just seem to think is hilarious and funny. So I thought, well, Dugga is the one.
Absolutely. Now, the articulation and shooting in this is absolutely incredible. It's the sort of, there you go, when you sort of, there you go, he's doing a wee dance right there, sort of swaying side to side.
He's good. He's got new hips. So in the previous,
They don't lie.
Has he started trying yet?
No tears yet.
Satire.
No tears included.
Satire. That's what you have. That's what you have to do. You have to. What was that doll that was really popular in the 80s? That
Tiny
Tiny
tears.
Tears.
Tiny Tears. Yes, let's have a Tiny Tears 15th Doctor, please.
Joking aside, I did one of the accessories that I did briefly consider putting in this set was a jar of tears. I thought it would be quite funny to have a little jam jar full of.
No, it would have to be a bucket.
Or a box of hankies.
A box of
A bucket
hankies
of the
could give a
Doctor's
whole
tears.
different.
Yes, let's move on swiftly from that one.
Yes, don't give him any ammo for that.
But I mean, I think that this is it's the figure that maybe a few people were like, oh, would it be fair to say this is the Marmite one of the collection now?
I think if people were gonna have issues with any of the sets, it's probably this set. I think there is a slight pushback against New Who, especially given the way it ended. What I would say is, I think from a pure figure, which is the way I approached it, from a pure action figure point of view, I didn't like the blue shirted version as much as I liked the orange shirted version, but I was always really narked that the hips never really worked. I'd given my engineer a Star Wars Black Series figure and said, basically, copy this. This is exactly the articulation I wanted. Now, what I didn't realize was that the hips on that were completely immobile, out and inwards, front and back and twisting, no problem. But out and in didn't work. So when Ncuti came in, I was kind of like, can't really move his legs. And she was like, well, it followed she blamed me, and she was right. And I said, oh, I've got to change that. So the hips are different. So the hips do move differently. But that whole figure, in terms of the detail, is just that's what I mean. If you've got, this is probably the last 15th Doctor figure we're going to do for a very long time. And I think if you're going to do that, you might as well go out with the best. And I think by a long margin, that 15th Doctor is the best one. There are people that are going to be a bit Marmite about it and say, I don't want it for whatever reason. There's a lot of people, I think, out there expecting to pick up Yeti parts on eBay. I think currently the Yeti head, the cheapest price you can get the Yeti head is 46 quid plus your postage. So it's literally £1 more than you can buy the sets for. There's a kind of weird twisted logic where people seem to think that avoiding buying the sets means that they're going to turn up on eBay from the scalpers.
It's always the way with Build-A-Figure things, though, isn't it? Like, there's been some, especially with some Marvel and DC waves here and there, where I've I've bought the figure and it ended up
Yeah.
with like Darkseid's arm, or a Sentinel's foot or something. And maddeningly, the next wave of Marvel Legends, the eminent one that's got like Psylocke and US Agent and all this in it, the build a figure is Box from Alpha Flight, which I would love, but I have no interest in any of the individual figures. So I'm just
No, and
like,
I think
you know,
that I think
do,
that
do I buy them all to do the build a figure and then flog the ones individually? But it's like, nah, I'd much rather have a box figure. It's
100%. I
frustrating,
think I
and
think that's what some people are thinking, and I think some people think, well, I only want the Yeti. I'll wait for it to turn up. But if that Yeti part, which I think is what's going to happen, is going to cost you 50 quid for a Yeti, what you
yeah,
think is going to be a Yeti part,
yeah,
rather than just paying for the whole set. Surely you're better just buying the
yeah,
whole set, because
exactly,
no scalper is going to
exactly,
break up a set so that you can have the Yeti part. They're not,
yeah,
whoever buys this and puts it on eBay, do you know what I mean? They're not not good. You
yeah,
don't buy the set,
uh,
somebody else will buy the set tomorrow, and they
yeah,
will stockpile
yeah,
those, and they will basically hold every single person that thinks they're going to get a Yeti chest to ransom for an inordinate sum of money, and they're not even going to be able to buy that single chest piece on their own. The scalper is going to go,
mm,
you've got to buy the entire set, and it's going to cost you double.
mhm,
It's like
yeah,
I think it kind of puts things in perspective when one Yeti head is, cheapest one's 50 quid and
yeah,
or 49, 46 quid.
Um,
And
NASA's now got the Yeti head and the chest, so it's the core parts are coming together.
that's it. By the time you get to, the arm and then the fourth Doctor coming with the entire lower half of the Yeti, which is freaking enormous, you're going to get a real, who wants to get three quarters of a four-fifths of a Yeti and not go for the other arm? It's
yeah,
madness. It's madness.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you must be quite pleased with the way these have turned out, because I'm just looking at it. I just love the fact that the Yeti's eyes are just glinting, and just like the way they catch the light when you get it right.
Yeah, I do. I love it. It's one of the joys of action figures that you can play with a little bit of artistic license. There's a little hint of the gauze mesh in there behind the aperture. There's a little hint of the eyes within the fur, and you've got the tusks at the front, and I think it just makes the Yeti a little bit more fearsome, um, as a character, and the articulation is fabulous. So.
Yeah, well, from the first two parts, definitely. But Al, why didn't you put the control sphere in? Why no control sphere?
So it was just the budget didn't unfortunately extend to putting the control sphere into the Yeti. Um, I know it's a big part of the lore, and having watched it recently and really enjoyed the Abominable Snowmen, I thought it was really cool. But yeah, I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Budget, the evil budgets.
And of course, if anybody wants to see the unboxing of the Ncuti Gatwa figure, please do have a look at the Power of Three YouTube channel. No, this is not a joke. We actually do have a real video of me
You
doing the unboxing. Al, you
unboxed
enjoyed the first
my
one.
beautiful set of figures, you
Yeah.
absolute.
Beep. You did enjoy the video of the unboxing of the Cybermen where I dropped the camera and it just pointed at
I,
the roof.
I did like the fact that he dropped the camera and that the Cyberman also headbutts the screen at one point. I thought it was fabulous.
Yeah.
Such a
Yeah. I'm a
professional.
The
professional
levels
vlogger,
of
mate.
professionalism, astounding.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Who influencer Kenny Smith at his best. I have a very quick question on behalf of my friend Kirby, who works on
Not
Forbidden
Jack.
Planet in Glasgow, as do I, obviously.
You've mentioned Kirby
Yes.
before, and he has a great name. Is it he or she?
So
I'm assuming it's
he
he.
has another question. Is there any chance, any likelihood of a toy of the fugitive Doctor's circuit breaker screwdriver?
Oh, what I will say is it has been talked about, but we had the main budget meeting the other day to talk about next year, which, if you think this year was exciting, boy, you've got some surprises coming. So
Oh, good.
how can they top that? I hear you cry.
Bessie at last.
No, so it did actually come up as a discussion point because I actually said, well, first of all, I'll say it wasn't signed off, and I don't think it's happening, which is why. But I'm happy to talk about the fact that we discussed it. So there was there was a discussion about Sonics and should we do a Sonic, and I said, well, there's two options if we want to go down the tooling route. Um, and one option if we don't. I said the one option if we don't is I had created a special edition of the Fourth Doctor's Sonic in the shiny metal, which had different sound effects inside it and some very sort of special sound effects and just worked a little bit differently. And that wasn't picked up last year, and it still isn't on the list for next year. But it could be. The other options I said were exactly that. One was the Fugitive Doctor's Sonic. But actually, the one I would prefer to do, given the choice, would be the Fifth Doctor Sonic as it appeared in the little insert that they did for the Resurrection of the Daleks box set.
Destination
Ah,
Daleks.
okay. Sure.
Yes, where the Fifth
Sure.
Doctor has a slightly updated version of his Sonic, but it's off the agenda at the moment. So I'll be honest, that one's not going ahead. There just isn't. If it gets finally signed off, and we're very close to it, my budget is spent, and there are some insanely special things in the works for next year if it happens. And Sonics
Right.
are not one of them. That's all I will say. Sonics are not one of them
Okay.
currently, but there
Okay.
might be an updated version of or a special version of the Fourth Doctor's Sonic, which would be.
Okay.
Sorry, Kirby.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Kirby.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time to
It's
answer.
always good. That's a great thing, Al. We know that you like getting these questions when we pass them over to you. We'll have to do another Ask Al soon. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I do like getting
Yes.
questions. It's always, I mean, people always question kind of why you do the stuff you do. As I say, the privilege of, honestly, and I've always been straight up about it. The privilege of kind of being in charge is, push comes to shove, I can kind of put the agenda of the stuff I like. This year, I kind of tried to set that aside and come at it from the point of view of what would satisfy everyone, and then next year if it happens, teasing time again. So there are some elements we would carry over, but there's a very distinct temporal twist that we're going to throw into it next year.
Oh,
Which,
interesting.
What could that
Hmm.
possibly mean? We don't know. Al knows. So
Hmm.
a temporal twist.
Listeners, what do you think it could possibly be? Email your thoughts to etc. etc. Temporal twist.
coming soon from Big Finish
Hmm.
Productions. That would be an interesting one. It also sounds like it could be a soft drink from like a different flavor of
A temporal
Fanta.
twist, yes.
Yeah.
A refreshing bored of the vortex, hot and bothered, treat yourself to a lovely temporal twist at your local interstitial bypass.
Available from Ice World at all good stores. Interesting.
Very
I
good.
don't know if you've got I don't know if you've had a chance to see Star Trek Strange New Worlds at all. Do either of you like it, or are you
I'm not a Trek fan, I'm afraid.
not?
I haven't seen any of the modern Trek at all. I mean, I would like to, but
Well,
I just don't
the,
have the
the
time.
reason it was interesting
no.
this episode is that the opening episode of season 4 is, funnily enough, revolves around Mars and the kind of the creation of the Earth as we know it and the destruction of the dinosaurs, and they put a very different twist on it. But it's
All right.
quite funny where you're watching one program where you've got a space freighter traveling backwards through time due to an engine imbalance causing this, and then you switch to a completely different genre and they have a whole different take on it, but it also plays into what happened to Mars and stuff like that. So it was, and it had elements of kind of 10th Planet Mondas kind of thing, and it
Interesting.
was fascinating. I really enjoyed it.
Right. Very intriguing. I'll have to ask around then.
Definitely. It does sound not too bad. Well, Al, of course, hopefully you'll be up in Scotland before too long, because I have got a bottle in my cupboard that literally has got your name on it. Well, your surname.
Nice.
So to follow up from the miniature that you got at the BFI,
That was very
did
nice.
that go down well?
It did. I enjoyed that. That was thrilling.
I haven't been to one of these BFI things. I'd like to.
You need to come down. You need to come down. It's about you graced
One of
us
these
with
days.
your presence.
Or disgraced us?
It has graced us with your.
Yes.
That would be
So,
fun.
Al, which release is next?
fun.
Remind us.
Next is Liz Shaw and the Primord.
Lovely.
And
Brilliant.
oh my god, it's
Brilliant.
amazing. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
In fact, I was just working with the PR guys on the press release, which contains a very terrible dad joke, but also contains, I think, just my appreciation that Liz Shaw figure turned out as well as it did. It's just stunning, absolutely stunning. Every single person that sees it, I think the assumption is that I love the Wyrn. I do love the Wyrn, and I do love the Fourth Doctor. I love all the figures, and I love the Cybermen, but the one that I think is going to blow everybody's socks off by a mile is going to be Liz Shaw.
That sounds like a surefire thing.
It is a surefire thing. The Liz Shaw figure is going to knock your bloody socks off. On that original lineup with all the paint masters, where that some look terrible. So the Fourth Doctor looked terrible. That's been sorted out. He looks fantastic now, and he's just next level. The Wyrn is next level. The 15th Doctor's been next level. The Cybermen were next level. I think it just, but the Liz Shaw figure that was there looked good. If you thought it looked good there, it looks flipping unbelievable.
Cannot wait. So Al, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast as always.
It has been a blast.
Yes, lovely to see you.
After comparing me to Nestene Consciousness and a
Summer Rose
and an angered and decayed beaver, I think the least you can do is play us out with something good.
Okay, well, how about something that would tie in with Tegan? How about The Ballad of Doctor Who by Bula Makanka?
That's very cool.
Dave shrugs, but has no idea what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I was trying to think of something to do with plastic in the title, but that's fine.
I was thinking these, either men at work down under, or even better, Diesel and Dust. Diesel and Dust.
Oh, they're nothing compared to Bula Makanka, I promise you. So I can hear them in the background. So until next time, everyone, this has been The Power of Three, and I've been Kenny Smith.
I've been David Steele. Thank you for joining us.
I've been Al Dewar, and I've had a whale of a time, so I'm very excited.
Bye-bye, Duggins.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I was sitting in front of the TV set, there was nothing much else to do. Then along come this amazing code, they called in Doctor Who. It was 6:30 on the ABC, just before the news. No ads to interrupt me on an interspatial cruise. There was moving metal madness, self-programmed to destroy. The Doctor has them covered to thwart their every ploy. Exterminate, exterminate that evil monotone. The Doctor fights the Daleks and I'm then all alone. Doctor Who is gonna fix it? Doctor Who will put it right as he moves across the galaxy at twice the speed of light. Back into the future, the TARDIS travels time with his beautiful assistant and his trusty mate K9. policeman smooth, but when inside the doors, a vast interior complex defies dimensional laws. His robot dog is by his side, he packs a powerful punch, and he always has the answers when it comes down to the crunch. Doctor, who is gonna fix it? Doctor, who will put it right? As he moves across the galaxy at twice the speed of light. Back into the future, the TARDIS travels